Hey, the #1 killer on construction sites are falls, and that's why we're going to go over this extension ladder right here. So in this video I'm going to show you the parts of an extension ladder, how to properly set it up, and then just general safety, climbing up and down and working off of this extension ladder. The first part of the extension ladder are the safety feet. They attach to the ground. You need to make sure that your extension ladder has 2 safety feet. They need to swivel. That way they can move with the contour of the ground. Also make sure it has a bolt inside here that has a tightened down nut. When you put it on the ground, they should be firmly on the ground. The next part are your rungs. You will have rungs on your station ladder and your extending ladder. You need to make sure that those rungs have good welds, no cracks in the welds. They should not be bent, or there shouldn't be any cracks in the actual rung itself. So here are the rails right here. Like I said before, you have 2 ladders, so you have 4 separate rails. You also need to check for cracks or bent rails. And finally, we have the rung locks. They're right here. The rung locks actually hold the extending ladder into place on the stationary ladder. So when you raise it, they will fall into place. Okay, and as you can see, they sit down on that stationary ladder. You need to make sure that they're swiveling properly. That spring should be working properly. That way it pushes the rung locks into position. When you get ready to lower the ladder, you need to raise it up a little bit. Okay, and then you have these little tabs right here. These tabs will block the rung locks from stopping and sitting down on the stationary ladder. Before setting up a ladder on the job site, there's a few rules that OSHA has in place to keep you safe on a ladder. First thing is, anytime you're setting up a ladder on a building, the ladder should extend 3 feet above the roof line. Okay. The next thing, make sure you don't set up in front of a doorway. If you do have to set up in front of a doorway, make sure you barricade that off. And then finally, the 1/4 rule. What the 1/4 rule means is you take the height of the ladder and pretty much divide it by 4. And then that tells you how far off the wall that ladder should be. So in this scenario, the ladder's 20 feet up in the air because that's how high the building is. So you take 20, you divide it by your 4. Okay, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So the ladder should be 5 feet off the ground. Okay. Another thing is, when you're setting up a ladder, if it's not on a level surface, you got 2 options. You can either dig it out a little bit, or you can get maybe a 6x6 or a concrete block, or a good size wide board. I wouldn't get a regular 2x4 and put it under the safety feet, but you want something underneath that safety feet that's got plenty of space, plenty of room to grab, and that way you don't have to worry about your ladder sitting unlevel. If this ladder is going to be extended up to 12 feet in the air, then I need to divide 12 by 4, which would give us 3 feet off the wall. Okay. Now in a real setting, you're not going to get your tape measure out and measure off 3 feet. Okay. So there's an easier method. A fireman taught me this a while back. When you're setting up a ladder, no matter the height, you're not going to take a tape measure, measure up how high you are, and then measure how far off the wall you are. So after I get my ladder to the right height, you put your feet at the base of the ladder, then you take your arms and you need to stick them straight out. Don't stick them down low, don't stick them up high. But for most of us, your fingertips should rest on the back of the rails right here. So now we're ready to set up the ladder. The first thing you want to do is get your rope. I like to stand up to the side. On a heavier ladder, sometimes you have to stand on the back side of it. But you want to extend your ladder off the wall, and then you use your rope and you pull up, and that extends the stationary ladder up. I'm going to stop it on this rung right here. So what you want to do is raise it up, and you want to stop just above that rung. If you don't stop above that rung and you go just a little bit above it, then your tabs on your rung locks are going to keep the rung locks from sitting down on that rung. So let's say I go too high, this is what's going to happen. As you can see, that rung locks did not sit down on the rung that I wanted to. So I need to go just above it, stop, and then set the rung locks down on that rung. Okay? Now you're ready to test the 1/4 rule. To test the 1/4 rule, you want to put your feet at the base of the ladder. You want to extend your arms straight out. your fingertips should touch the back of that stationary ladder. As you can see right here, my fingertips extend way past the base or the back of that stationary ladder. So that means I need to bring my ladder out. And now I'm gonna test it. Now when you test it, make sure your arms are at a 90-degree angle. Don't bring them up high, don't bring them down low. They need to be straight out. As you can still see, my fingertips are not touching the back of that stationary ladder. Okay, so that means I need to push it in because my fingertips are off. So push it in just a little bit, and now my fingertips are at the back of your stationary ladder, which means I'm ready to climb. Alright, so now I'm ready to climb. As you're climbing, make sure that you maintain what they call 3 points of contact. If your feet get above 6 feet, that means you need a safety harness on. And as you're up there working, make sure that you are not leaning over the side, overextending. So I'm going to show you how to climb real quick. Like I said, 3 points of contact. That's either 2 hands and 1 foot or 2 feet and 1 hand. So once you get up there, like I said, do not be overextending yourself. If you have to, get down, move the ladder, be safe about it. As I mentioned before, falls are the #1 killer on a job site. Alright, so after you've completed your work on the ladder, you're ready to lower down. The first thing you want to do is get a hold of your rope, bring your ladder off the wall, and you want to raise your extending ladder up just above that rung that you were locked down on so that the rung locks can use their tabs to block the rung locks from sitting down on that rung. All too often, I see students, what they'll do is they'll grab the rung locks and think that they got to hold them down. No, these tabs right here will block the rung locks from sitting down on a rung. So you just lower it down.